Master of the universe? Is that not acceptable?
That's
Fuck. My name's Clifford Crooks. I'm the culinary director for ESquared Hospitality and the executive chef for BLT Prime. Today we're gonna cook the ribeye itself for you and review meat, more meat. Some of the basic tools are right in front of me. Oils. You don't want to sear in an olive oil. It has a very low smoke point. Olive oil is generally used for, sauces, dressings, finishing items. Plus, it's a little more costly than oils such as a canola or a blended oil that has a much higher smoke point. Your standards, salt and pepper, fresh ground pepper, always. Butter, the more butter the merrier. You're going to use the butter to arrosé, or which is the fancy term for just the baste, which is just to love it with butter. The ribeye, it's the fattiest of the cuts, fatty in a very good way. All the marbling and internal fat leads to what? More flavor. Right above the ribeye here, this delectable little jewel is the cap or spinalis muscle, which is right here. This spinalis is actually my favorite cut of beef, period. Out of everything you see on the table, this bad boy right here is where it's at. It's also known as the deckle, the top cap, which is the top cap again of the ribeye. The ribeye we have here in front of us is a wet-aged ribeye. What that means is when beef comes off of an animal, it's not eaten immediately. The enzymes need to soften up and break down. So the loin of beef is essentially vacuumed within itself and then held. So this is about 28 days wet. This little jewel right here, this is a bone-in, dry-aged strip. It's dry-aged for 35 days. And what dry aging is instead of it being vacuumed in a bag when it comes off the animal, the entire portion of beef is put into a temperature-controlled room. Basically, dry age draws all of the moisture out of the beef and concentrates the flavors. It also tenderizes the beef as well. Today, we're gonna cook the ribeye itself for you. Cast iron skillet. It retains 90% of the heat. It allows for even searing and even browning of your beef, so you don't really have to manipulate it as much. It's similar to cooking a piece of fish. You really want to set it in there, leave it, don't touch it too much. When you turn it after 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your temperature, it's gonna be beautifully golden brown, unless I totally screw it up and then we're all in for a surprise, right? Before we start, we also want our beef to be as room temperature as possible. It will cook a lot faster and a lot more evenly. We don't want to be shy with our salt. Pepper. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Before we hit the pan, we're going to open up our garlic here. There is some of the skin still on it. That's completely fine. All I'm gonna do is take it. I'm gonna smash it. I'm gonna hold that piece of garlic. We're gonna use that garlic to baste our steak when we're ready. We're gonna add our canola oil. I want the steak to sear when I drop it in. If the pan's not hot enough and I drop the steak in, it'll start steaming first. And then instead of getting that Maillard reaction, which is just basically it browning and coloring, it'll steam and turn gray. Now, easiest part, steak's in the pan. That's it. We're not gonna touch it. The painful game of waiting and watching. While that's happening there, we're gonna get all of our accoutrements ready, right? So I've got sprig of thyme, sprig of rosemary, and the piece of garlic that we have lovingly smashed. So now I can move the steak around the pan, which is fine. I'm not lifting it yet. I disable my smoke alarms. I open up every single window in my apartment, and then I'll start cooking. We've achieved some beautiful color on side A, another 2 minutes on side B. So we're at the point right now, I'm gonna put all of our herb into the pan. Everything's gonna pop and sizzle. Now butter, we're gonna add a little bit of butter, Julia Child style. Now, here's the fun part. You ready? In a restaurant, I'll push the beef to one side, right? I'll take my herbs, making sure that I'm not completely hammering everything, put it on top, and I'll angle it, and I'll just start basting the steak like this. The aromats from the herbs are infusing themselves into the beef itself. I'm gonna put the steak on the resting rack. Rather than using a thermometer or the guess method, we're gonna use this $1 bad boy right here that we all could get. It's a cake tester, really, really thin, wiry piece of metal. This is the most sensitive part of your mouth right there. So I can take the cake tester and stick it in the middle of the piece of beef. So now the cake tester has become the exact same temperature as the interior of the beef. And I can pull it out and put it right here. So it's warm, it's not hot, meaning that the center is mid-rare, etching to medium, the more I let it rest. This right here rested for 5 to 7 minutes is a straight mid-rare. Cut your beef with a serrated knife. I don't care what anyone has fucking told you. This is the easiest way to do it. It's 100% accurate. You're gonna get clean cuts. I taught my mother how to use it. Actually, she uses this and one other knife, and the other one's a butter knife. That's it. We're just gonna remove it from the bone. The bone can sit to the side. You can give it to the dog, which is basically put it on my plate when we're done. We wanna slice it this way. You're not gonna slice it this way. This is so, everyone has a nice piece of fat, and really this is the only way to cut it. And then everything is finished with Maldon. Really, it's just really fancy, absolutely delicious salt. And that's it. Wow, it's fucking good. I taste every bit of herb. I taste the rosemary individually. I taste the thyme. I taste the garlic. I taste the noisette, which is really just the brown little chunks. The beef notes are great, which just means that it's actually really good product. I don't know if you've ever eaten a piece of beef and it tastes a little bit irony or actually really watery. The product itself is good. So that's how you cook a steak at home. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you to Munchies, and we'll see you later.